Ted, being his usual clown idiot self, even started holding Leslie's hand while having this conversation with her. And then, of course, Shanice walked in, not happy to see this. What's up, fellow Beyond the Gates fans? The show has returned from its 2-day hiatus thanks to soccer and is back for 2 more episodes this week. Soccer will affect it again next week. Today's episode, it had its moments, at least. I don't have as much shit to talk about the writing as I did on Monday. We didn't have to deal with Grayson being Superman all of a sudden. Not that it was the most eventful day either, but let me give some of my quick thoughts on the day. Vernon and Martin were meeting again. Martin had a political event that we didn't get to see, and Vernon is out of caretaker mode now that Anita is getting on better after all her chemotherapy and is doing her last chemotherapy. So Vernon doesn't know what to do with himself after being out of caretaker mode. Martin talked to Vernon about how Smitty's on that secret assignment and doesn't want people that are supposed to be the guards protecting Martin and the family to follow him. Martin ended up bringing up Joey because Joey overheard he and Smitty talking, and Joey offered his men watch Smitty without his knowledge. Vernon was not very pleased with Joey coming up in conversation, and that Joey was on a double date with Nicole. Vernon found out that Joey made that joke about the dead bodies and politicians, and how that was obviously a shot at Martin. But Martin is talking about how he still wants to run for Senate despite all of this literal buried body in his past, which I think is probably not the best or the wisest decision from Martin. Clearly, though, this is all coming up again because Martin's secret is going to come out in some way, maybe sooner rather than later, or at least I'm hoping it would. I think we're going to continue to see Martin and his politics over the next couple of months because I think his politics has something to do with the Young and the Restless crossover. So we'll see how that goes. Madison ran into Anita at the hospital. They talked a little bit about Vernon and his memory lapses. And then Lia talked to Madison. I mean, first of all, Lia started this episode on the phone with Ren, talking about how she's happy that Grayson still did the drop-off job and that Ren did a good job with his warning. I still think this whole stabbing thing was just very stupid to do in the first place if this was all it was going to amount to. Because in what world is Ren stabbing Grayson to send him a message, and that message is that Grayson still needs to do a drop-off gig the next day after being stabbed? I think it's ridiculous, but that whole Impaler storyline is not well put together, and it is ridiculous. But bad news for Madison because Lia wants Madison to take a sabbatical because of the case of her being sued. I guess it's good that we actually get to see Madison involved in her own storyline. I feel like for the past 2 weeks, all these characters have been talking about Madison being sued, and then Madison's not even on the episodes. But at least today she was on and getting this bad news thanks to Lia. Later in the episode, Chelsea had Madison come down to the gym to get her aggression out on the punching bag, which she did. Chelsea even taught her how to do jabs and uppercuts, and we actually got to see some of Chelsea teaching her, which I did appreciate seeing that on screen at least. One of the highlights of the day was that the younger people got to be younger people when Jessica and Tyrell almost fooled around in Tyrell's room when Tyrell got Samantha to leave them alone. At first, Tyrell was upset because Jessica did get into UCLA, though she hasn't made a decision if she's going to go there yet. So they were getting into a tiff, but then they went up to his bedroom. He started taking off her shirt, but then Smitty came home asking if anyone was home. The drama came from this because when Samantha got home, she called out the double standard that Tyrell was in his room alone with Jessica when the rule was they're not supposed to do that. And Smitty was distracted by his work, so he wasn't really giving Tyrell any shit. In fact, at one point, Smitty said that it's cool. So Samantha had to call Smitty out on his double standard. Martin came home and heard all about this. And so Jessica, who has been taking this conflict resolution course, used her skills to kind of show Martin and Smitty that they were being hypocrites, and it's because of the patriarchy and because of gender-based stereotypes with sex for boys and girls, and how boys will be boys, and some dads will even feel proud of their sons for having sex with a girl. And I think Jessica kind of read Smitty and Martin for filth a little bit during that conversation. But what Jessica also does here is get Tyrell grounded until the cotillion. So he's upset about that because his girlfriend kind of played a part in him getting suspended because she was taking up for Samantha. I enjoyed the teen scenes today, to be honest. So it's mostly because we haven't seen them in a while. They haven't actually explored the teens being teens in a while. I would like to see more of that. I would take it over a lot of these older characters that don't really do it for me anymore. Let's see. Smitty and Ted started the episode in the locker room. Smitty was just asking questions about the blood stuff at the hospital and what are the protocols with all of that. I don't feel like Smitty's asking these deep questions to find out more information on the blood plasma ring, but they sure are acting like he is. And that leaves us with all of Leslie's mess today. It was kind of typical Leslie. It was first Leslie getting into it with Chelsea at Orphe Jeans because Chelsea saw her there, and after weeks, Chelsea finally confronted Leslie about Leslie trying to steal Chelsea's wedding plans and give them all to Eva and Isaiah. Leslie was trying to get Chelsea to see that it was old news, but like a lot of people in the watch along live chat today said, it was appreciated that Chelsea really did try and stick it to Leslie today and kind of tell Leslie that she won the lottery. And it's thanks to Anita because she was the one that put all those funds for Barbara that Leslie now gets, and said that the least Leslie can do is move to someplace else and forget about the Dupree family and stop being an annoyance. And she actually got Leslie to walk away in a huff. Although what she said, and before Leslie walked away in a huff, they were discussing the free clinic and how Leslie's a changed woman, and Chelsea told her that Leslie can't buy a decent reputation and said that Leslie won't do the real work for the greater good. Honestly, it was nice to see Chelsea call out Leslie today, even though it was the same old Leslie just annoying people, because she went on to annoy more people. But then later in the episode, after Chelsea taught Madison how to box, and after Madison took her anger out on the punching bag, Chelsea got into it with Madison's mom on the phone too. So Chelsea was a spitfire today, and I, like others in the live chat, enjoyed that side of Chelsea. Leslie then made her way to the hospital to annoy Lia about the free clinic, and then, Chenise was there being her nosy self watching that. Chenise also saw what happened between Lia and Madison today too. But then Ted ran into Leslie today. Oh, also Leslie annoyed Anita today too. So yeah, Leslie had her usual string of annoying people with no real rhyme or reason. It's still not something I enjoy about the show. I still think they could do a lot better for the Leslie character. They've really let us down with the Leslie character. But after Leslie got into it with Lia, that's when Ted approached Leslie and wanted to talk with her in his office because he could see that Leslie had a lot of losses today. So in his office with Leslie, they started talking about all of the wrongdoings they've done to each other in the past. Ted, being his usual clown idiot self, even started holding Leslie's hand while having this conversation with her. And then, of course, Chenise walked in, not happy to see this. And Shanice looked really sad when Leslie was leaving the office. And these scenes were poorly done because until these last couple of weeks, anytime Leslie would try to interfere in Ted and Shanice's relationship, Shanice would stand her ground and would not be insecure about it. But today they had Shanice being super insecure about Leslie, and I feel like the plot was lost because we've seen Shanice have good points about how she feels about the Ted and Nicole past, but she's always tried to play off the Leslie past. So I didn't like how sad they made Shanice in today's episode, but more importantly, it was a huge regression from Ted, who is a constant idiot when it comes to Leslie. It makes no sense how he always backtracks on the Leslie stuff. His excuse was that Leslie is a real human being too, and he caught a glimpse of the woman he first met and says that he owes it to Dana to extend grace to the woman she is today. Well, the woman Leslie is today is an annoying, awful person too. So Ted made no sense, per usual, when it comes to Leslie. I did not like those scenes at all. If they're trying to make me not like Ted and Shanice together, while they have succeeded, I was enjoying it more and more. But the writing on this show, they don't know what they want when it comes to a relationship. They're terrible at making us root for certain relationships. It is definitely a big problem with this soap opera. They do not know how to make an audience root for a couple to be together. And if we're supposed to root for Ted and Nicole to get back together, they still have a lot of work to do to get the audience to want that. I think there's a part of the audience that wants that, but not enough from what I see. And I'm definitely in the side of Ted and Nicole getting back together. Why?